Into the New Old Heads podcast, premiered every Thursday at noon at bringingdowntheband.com and brought to you by No Bad Ideas, Coleman Dental, Printfinity, and Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the New Old Heads by visiting our Patreon at patreon.com/newoldheads.
Welcome to episode 111 of the New Old Heads podcast. I am not Maja 7th. I am Lonegevity, and I have a hard drive too, as does everybody else at this table. To the right of me, DJ Jay Diff is in the building.
Salutations.
Hola. Caddy Corner, Brad's DJ Spoolz.
Hello, Sean. How are you?
I'm swell.
Great, man.
And, of course, Jay Moore.
Yay, what's going on?
You know.
What's happening? Mm-hmm.
As always.
How y'all doing?
It's good.
We got Red August over there.
Yeah, of course, Red August, yeah. Shout out to the sponsors. You heard it already,
Yep.
you know, so I'm not going to be redundant right now.
Okay, don't do that.
You know, but shouts to the sponsors because they're spectacular, and shouts to the patrons because they're also spectacular.
We appreciate
Absolutely.
all of you. Thank you very much.
Listen, subscribe.
All right.
Tell your friends.
Subscribe.
So since I'm new at this, I'm going to go ahead and is there anything particular that you want to talk about before we get into our subject matter today?
I would say we didn't have any political shit to kind of address. Why don't we do Kevin Hart first?
Okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. I think that's
Fix your mic real quick.
okay. Is it we good here?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
much
perfect.
better. Much better. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that people can hear me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. So Kevin Hart, I'm not overly familiar with what happened outside of the fact that what they were just pulling up old tweets of his that were homophobic, I guess.
Well, he was going to be the host of the Oscars.
Right.
Then the old tweets came out.
Oh, I see.
And then, yeah.
I saw 𝗀𝗍.
Hughley.
Hughley?
Yes, Hughley.
I like it when the
He's
G
one
and
of
the
the
H
kings of
become blur.
comedy.
Is he? I don't
He
think
is.
he's very funny.
Yeah.
To be honest, he's my least fun. He's to me the least funny
The
of,
least-
of the kings of comedy.
Oh, of the kings of comedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think the name DL Hughley is really funny.
Yeah. I like DL Hughley.
That sounds like a porn name. D.L. Hughley. Hugely, I mean.
Deal, yeah.
He's on the DL.
I always think of this episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm when the dude is the main character or whatever. There's a guy named Hugh, but he never says Hugh. He's always like, hey, how's it going, you?
Oh.
And he's like, it's Hugh. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll give a quick rundown on what's going on.
HUE.
So, I was about to say D.L. Hughley, but
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart was picked to host the what is it? The Grammys? Not the Grammys, the Oscars.
The Academy Awards, if you will.
Okay, Academy Awards. Once that was announced, all of a sudden all these tweets start coming out about kind of some homophobic tweets about what he was saying, like back in 2009, 2011, or whatnot. And he decided that he did not want to apologize because the Academy told him pretty much apologize so that we can kind of move on and do our thing. He decided that he did not want to apologize because he had already apologized for those tweets and how he felt at that certain time of his life. And he didn't want to go back and forth again and rehash the things that he had already talked about. So he decided to pretty much back away from doing the Academy Awards, which left people feeling a certain type of way. So how does everybody feel about that?
I mean, I did read them. They definitely were homophobic, but they were like 2009, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of them.
That's a lifetime ago when you talk about Hollywood.
It's like early Twitter.
You
Like
said
this
he
is-
apologized for it at the time?
He apologized for it after the fact.
Yeah, he's
mind you, that's
apologized
been
for this
9
since,
years
yeah.
since
See, I
that
didn't know
happened.
that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. And
I
it
didn't
doesn't
either.
change how I necessarily feel, but it makes me feel more validated for feeling the way I feel. I'm happy that Kevin Hart did what he did.
I
don't
am
think-
too, actually.
Especially knowing, again, just what you said, that he had already, apologized for it. So I think it's interesting that that's where we're at today. There's people who are going to go back. I mean, he's not running for office. He's not. This is an award show, and I don't know, dude. That seems super duper extra and like way too much to me.
What's interesting about it,
Well, he
too,
still apologized, though. He still said, I'm sorry, but I've already addressed this.
Yeah, but it wasn't
I mean,
an in-depth
that's more-
apology like they were asking for. What's interesting about it is, so you have some women who have done the same thing, but their tweets or should I say, a certain type of woman. Certain white women have done the same thing. And
Amy Schumer and
Sarah Silverman.
Silverman, and
and the same energy has not been brought to them. And that's what a lot of people are kind of saying the differences are about it. Me personally, I understand where he's coming from as far as saying that I've apologized for this before, and I don't want to keep feeling victimized about it and having to rehash this situation based on where I am and what's being offered to me right now.
Right.
I G for that, actually. I'm cool with that.
I mean, at what point do you accept somebody's apologize and let them grow?
Right.
You know?
Well, one of the things that I had to, when I talked about this with a couple other people is, first of all, I think Kevin Hart was right not to go ahead and feed the trolls, if you will, and re-apologize for something he's already apologized for. But the thing is, when you're playing the Hollywood game at his level, and you have reached a certain reached into a certain A-list situation. See, the thing is, for him to apologize to people, maybe when he was just Think Like a Man, Kevin Hart, and Netflix special Kevin Hart, that's not good enough. Don't apologize. We want you to apologize to us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's part of why I'm glad he didn't apologize to them. It's like, look, I don't need your platform to make me Kevin Hart. Some people would just jump at that, be like, okay, I'll do whatever tap dancing I got to do. Kevin Hart's like, look, I've addressed this.
And he's been through shit recently in the past, too, that's,
And the thing is, I hate these Hollywood apologies more than anything
because it's fake as fuck.
Because it doesn't mean anything.
That's the root of it to me too.
One of the I've heard someone say that the best apology is changed behavior. And
absolutely.
Here is somebody who's basically done nothing but try to spread a level of positivity. Even in his most recent movie, there was a homosexual character who they didn't play it as the typical homosexual character where that was like that just happened to be who they were. You know what I'm saying? And so in my mind, like, why doesn't somebody point at that? Why don't the people who know, why doesn't somebody like Ellen, who's had Kevin Hart on her show, come and say, no, that's not who this person is. Like this is not who they are. That's not in their heart. But Ellen's got to play, it doesn't matter how big her show is. She's got to play that same Hollywood game.
I was about to say, because Ellen's doesn't want to lose out on what Ellen's got right now.
And something tells me, like, and you hate to bring the racial component into it, but
it's evident though.
I feel like a lot of these white homosexuals that voted for Donald Trump, also now they want to have accountability when it comes to Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
They voted their whiteness and not their gayness. Now that we could go a whole nother level with that, but we'll save that for another day. But I just feel like you didn't apologize basically to white Hollywood, so we don't count your apologies, and we don't care about your changed behavior. We want you to do a little tap dancing for us.
No, you didn't apologize. I think to clarify, you didn't apologize to gay Hollywood. To gay Hollywood, not white Hollywood. Probably white gay Hollywood.
But yeah, so
the gay part is very. I mean, not to be. I mean, there's. I think it's probably well known. I'm guessing that there's a lot of homosexuals.
It has to be well known in entertainment business.
Entertainment for sure. Period. So. That to me is almost kind of like some mob shit.
It definitely is.
They call it the Pink Mafia.
Yeah,
and I'm not trying to say just side note too. I without being homosexual can understand how homosexuals throughout the course of time and history have been persecuted for their for their
just
sexuality,
wanting to live their life.
And I know that stuff happens up until this day. So I'm certainly not overlooking any of that at all. But in this one situation, in this one time, I'm happy that Kevin Hart didn't re-apologize and essentially bow down to this kind of like power move. It was a bit of a power play, and
especially when I think about, I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. Because the thing is, if he apologizes, that means everybody whose Twitter history has something questionable, we got to go through everybody's
scrub it.
And the thing is, nothing ever goes away on the internet.
You actually had it happen to
Bennigan's.
To the
young man,
the recent recipient of the Heisman Trophy. They went back.
Murray?
Yeah, they went back and pulled tweets from when he was 14, 15 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy, right? So imagine a kid. Everybody was a kid in this room. I mean, you can't go through life without being a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody had some bullshit they was on or thought about or,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, represented. You're pulling tweets on a 14, 15-year-old. So where does the buck stop? And I'm not giving anybody a pass as far as you can just say whatever the fuck you want till you're 21 and then everything
we
is
hold you
all
accountable.
good.
You're
Right. I'm not saying that.
Let me ask an even crazier question. Do you think that we'll ever get to a place in society where we will be able to put the same what's the best way to describe it? Like almost judgments and things like that on people, or not have to do that? Like, do you think we'll ever get to a point in society where we'll say, well, young blah, blah, whatever Murray was 14 years old and we don't need to bring this shit up?
I don't think so. I think it depends
People
on
love
the
this
person.
shit, dude.
I think it depends
This
on
is
the person that's
entertainment.
doing it.
People eat it up. They
I
love
think
it.
it depends on the person, their upbringing, if they came from nothing or if they came from something, as far as if it matters or not.
Carson Wentz, you guys know who Carson Wentz is?
Yeah.
He's a quarterback for the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
He has been dragged by people because he likes to hunt. And he's tweeted about how he likes to hunt and how him and his dad like to hunt and how he, that's what he grew up doing. And other people have dragged deer and shit like that that people
because,
hunt.
Like, I do disagree with like people going big game hunting where they're hunting like
This
lions,
is normal,
tigers,
like
Or the shooting
bears,
giraffe.
stuff
South
like that.
Dakota hunting.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
And they're eating the meat.
Yeah.
All right, well.
But people have dragged him for that too. You know what I mean? So at what point, like, this is why I don't get involved in a lot of social media and a lot of stuff like that too, because it's really trivial and this is really ridiculous too. And if you think you can tell a person's character, whether you agree with what they say that's outlandish or you disagree with what they say that's outlandish, and you're going to tell me, you can tell me the type of human they are off of 140 characters, and you're going to run with these stories, and people are going to eat them up and form their own judgments on people they'll never fucking meet. It's insane, dude. This shit envelops people's time.
Well, also, there's a difference between, because people say, oh, there's an outrage over something, and an outrage might be 50 retweets. Like,
I think that's a good point. I think
Yeah.
the difference between now and then is not necessarily the fact that more people are offended. I think the fact
the
is that
immediacy in which people can
the
be
immediacy,
offended.
and we're all notified that everybody is offended.
Well,
Right.
So it's it's how technology allows us to be connected to everything and everybody to see everything. So I'm sure those people that hated him hunting existed before.
but the
it's
thing
just
is,
now
they
we
didn't have
see
a
it.
platform.
Now they have a platform
And,
to speak on
like,
it.
remember the show Married with Children with you know, Al
Bundy.
Bundy?
A lot of people couldn't even watch that show coming
Like,
up.
yeah, and at one point, that show was considered controversial because there was this woman in Michigan whose kids, you know, walked in on one of the jokes, and she started a letter writing campaign. Now, you understand what a letter writing campaign, that means you have to sit down, write a letter, find an envelope, find who the producers are, get a stamp, go down to the post office, and maybe in a week or so, somebody might respond to your letter writing campaign. Now all you got to do is say, I'm upset at Kevin Hart. This is insensitive. He should apologize. Hit send, and you're done.
Right.
Like, when we talk about outrage, these people aren't actually outraged. They just feel like we should be outraged. So
Yeah.
I'm going to join in with the chorus of other people,
There's
so
not
I'm
as-
not called insensitive.
There's not as much investment in the outrage.
No.
You know, so
Like,
it's,
if you told all those people, if you really want to be outraged, you have to write a letter about this. They'd be like, I don't have time for that.
But at the same, but you know, to go against that, I mean, just because I don't want to write a letter doesn't mean I'm not outraged.
True,
You know,
but
so, but you know, now I think it goes along with everything we always, or something we always talk about, which is we are in that popcorn, you know, microwave culture in general. It's not just music. So everything is here. Everything is momentary. Everything is like, what's going on now? Cool. I don't like this. Nah, let me move on to the next thing I don't like, or like, let me move on to the next thing. Just like, boom, 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 boom.
I wonder if those my
Slim Jesus.
that totally makes sense. My point was more, I wonder if those people who are so outraged by Kevin Hart are also outraged about things that matter.
right.
It's weird now because it's almost like people are choosing sides as far as what they want to be about.
About every
It's
dumb
like,
thing.
all right, so they're trying to make gay or homosexuality the new black. I'm just put it out there. That's the truth, right? Am I wrong?
No. From my aspect, no, because it makes like, don't get me wrong, there is a persecution there, but it's just
it's not the same.
To compare them 1-to-1 is not
exactly,
right.
but there's a lot of people trying to compare them as apple to apples.
They're not at all.
And they're trying to, they would rather get behind supporting homosexuals or the gay community versus supporting the black people or black community.
And I think that's where I think it depends on the person, but I also think that's where the racial element and all that
definitely
is overpowering of the homosexuality or LGBT.
Well, I heard someone say if Colin Kaepernick said he was kneeling for gay rights, he'd still be in the NFL. Like, there'd be people who could get behind that, but when you're talking about,
I don't know,
telling he's kneeling because he wants police to stop shooting unarmed black people, that's hard for other people to, because almost everyone might have a gay coworker
kneeling for God,
or if he was kneeling for God, or you might have a gay family member, somebody that you care about. There's a lot of people in this country that can't relate to police violence against unarmed black people, so it's not something that concerns them. In fact, it turns them off and it makes them angry.
Speaking of which,
it's a great point.
If you have you want to add something real quick, because after that I want to
I was just saying, I thought they were.
I'm gonna throw something in there real quick.
I thought they were different. I understand what that sentiment, but obviously the experiences, I think, throughout history have just been different. But,
I was gonna say, like, do y'all think that, because The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and Kevin Hart are very good friends?
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't said anything about this. Now, do you think he's not saying anything about it based off trying to protect his own image?
Why would he say
his own character? Because that's his friend. So, like, say something happens to you.
Okay.
Whether I agree with it or not, I'm probably going to say something about it.
I see.
Especially being in that position.
I guess I don't look at it either way. I mean, I feel like
I don't think anybody should have to come out.
But see, that goes back to the Hollywood game I was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm trying to come from.
The Rock is not going to throw himself into this when he's got movies getting ready to come out. He's got another Fast and Furious movie. He's going to be in one of the Warner Brothers superhero movies. Mm-hmm. He's not trying to involve himself in this. So, like, whether that's his friend or not, there's a difference between friends and probably Hollywood friends. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you're going to jump out the window for one of your Hollywood friends.
So when do you have to say something as far as something that your friends?
I think, there are people who've already, like, I haven't heard Tiffany Haddish say anything, and he champions Tiffany Haddish. And so, like I said, these, like, I don't want to make, like, I think that's kind of a messed up thing to say, the Pink Mafia or the Rainbow Mafia. Like, I know they don't appreciate that, so I don't think that's cool.
Yeah, that's not cool.
But at the same time, like, these, it's a situation where this is a look or a platform, or it could stop a check, or like, hey, you don't know which head of which studio may be gay or have a family member that's gay. They're not going to involve themselves in this. So, like, like I said, when you get to that level, and D.L. Hughley can stand up for him, that's fine. But he's not, like, and I like D.L. I like his radio show, and I read his last book. I enjoy what he does, but he's not at Kevin Hart's level to where he can jump out of the window and say these things.
Yeah.
Like somebody who's trying to get to that A-list and who's got movies coming out and has a project they need to talk about, when they get interviewed, they don't have to bring up Kevin Hart and, hey, what do you think about what Kevin Hart said? They're when they go on these shows, they got 8 minutes and they want to talk about what they want to talk about, which is their upcoming project.
I feel like he just to close it, I feel like he would probably say something if he was asked. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I'd necessarily feel.
Yeah, he's not going to jump out of the window and just.
I don't know if I feel like it's his place to even come out and have an opinion on it. Like that's Kevin Hart's thing. If something
Kevin Hart has moved on
like
at this point.
If something happens to one of my friends, like I may say something in public, depending on what it is, but unless somebody really asks me about it, I'm probably just gonna, or I hear somebody talking about it.
I think, me personally, if somebody's dragging one of my friends personally, I'm gonna say something about it, because
I think it just depends.
I'm gonna feel
what
a certain
it is.
type of way about you dragging my friend.
If your Hollywood, your friend or your Hollywood
point,
friend,
right? To your point, where you're saying your friend or your Hollywood friend. I'm lucky that I actually work with my friend. So
right.
So
yeah. I mean, we're all Hollywood, so
so Hollywood.
Yeah. Support our Patreon. It's crowdfunding.
Yeah, that's how Hollywood we are.
All right, so real quick, I'm going to butcher her name. Do you guys know Miss Brown's first name?
Is it Cyntoia?
Is Cyntoia? Is that how you pronounce it?
I believe so.
So this is something that I remember us either talking about or bringing
Briefly.
up maybe like a year or so ago, or not too long ago. But she was the 16. Well, she was 16. 16-year-old. Say your name again.
Cyntoia
Cyntoia.
Brown, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Cyntoia Brown shot and killed Johnny Allen, a 43-year-old Nashville resident who picked her up for sex. It was an act of self-defense, she explained to police later, blah, blah, blah. This story has reemerged of late due
She
to
was sentenced.
she was sentenced, yeah.
What'd
And
she get?
51, 52
She served
years.
51 years before she's eligible for parole.
What about parole?
She has to do 50. Yeah,
No,
50.
you said patrol. I
Oh,
was
patrol?
being smart
Oh,
ass.
Before she can go on patrol, too.
Actually,
Yeah, okay.
actually, it says concurrent life sentences in Tennessee will only be eligible for patrol after after serving 51 years in prison. So there's been a lot. I mean, her story is kind of a messed up story. I think it's cool to kind of see it reemerging and people talking about it again. I've even seen a lot of people share stuff online about calling the people in Tennessee about letting her off. I forget who's in office who's done at the end, but it's like the governor or whoever to pardon her and whatnot. So, yeah, that is in the news right now, and I thought that was an interesting thing. Perhaps, do you think? Are you familiar with the alleged story that it is or is not self-defense? That's really the argument.
Yes, but I don't know the details to be able to form my own opinion on whether or not I think it. Like I haven't played juror.
Yeah. Well, my interpretation was that she was
A minor.
well. She was a minor. She was not. Was she or was she not there against her will?
No, I believe she was not there against her will.
Okay.
Since she was, and I'm not trying. I don't. Here's my understanding of it. She had obviously a very rough upbringing. I don't think her parents were around or were there for her at all or supported her. She became a prostitute at a fairly young age.
Right.
This guy was a John who had picked her up. During the course of them doing whatever, she felt, or what she was stated was she felt in danger and felt like he was going to kill her. I don't know what he did to make her feel that way. If he actually physically hit her, if he was strangling her, if he just was creepy, I don't know.
I see it here.
And then
right
she
now.
killed him.
Yeah. So Ms. Brown characterized her survival strategies as a survival sex work or teenage prostitution for an adult pimp. While she says that she was coerced into sex work by cutthroat, she never described herself as a child sex slave, a term that is now being used to characterize her. That's been a talking point as well. Let's see. It says Allen propositioned her and attempted to haggle her down from $200. They finally agreed, and then apparently everything happened. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation, I guess. Maybe not so interesting if we all agree on it.
I think based off, especially her age, and she's 16 years old, prostituting herself.
Like that's
a whole nother story in its own. So them have to not look at what's going on as far as why she's doing that for survival. That's a whole nother story.
10 years ago,
for her to feel uncomfortable
right.
in a situation to the point where she wanted to kill somebody or feel like her life was threatened. I mean, that's I don't know, man. That's a tough situation to be in and have to make a call on in order to get yourself out of that situation. So how are you trying a youngster as an adult in that? How old is she now?
Oh, I'm not sure. Let me look it up. But
the only point is 10 years ago that she was a 16-year-old prostitute, and
13.
now she was a member of. Now she's a part of the child sex slave ring. I think there's been a lot more attention. I think for great cause around the fact that being a 16 or teenage prostitute isn't just being a prostitute. It is you are a minor that's a part of you're a sex slave.
There's a whole
that
exhibit
man was
about
making
it.
her do that.
There's a whole exhibit about it at the Underground Railroad Museum in Cincinnati.
Oh, really?
There's a whole exhibit about that whole trade.
I mean, it's something that didn't have as much focus with that terminology, I feel like 10 years ago or 15 or 20 years ago. But I'll give you an example about that too, though. 2012 was the Super Bowl here in Indy.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember there being commercials about, if you're in danger or if you're part, I mean, they would, if you're part of one of these rings, call us. Like this it's wild to me because I mean, obviously know nothing about it, but it's just disgusting. And so for better word, I'm glad that her case is being reviewed or people are, but I don't know enough about it. So
here's another angle for this. All right, so since the recent surge of interest in her case, graphic artists have created an image of Brown with the pigtails she donned during her trial when she was 16. This was 13 years ago, apparently, accompanied by the text "Free her." Another image of her at a similar age has been appropriated into a meme juxtaposed with the rapist Brock Turner's mugshot using her incorrect age and unconfirmed case circumstances. Other memes have claimed a pedophile sex trafficking ring was responsible for the violence visited upon her. Why are these images and memes being circulated? Is an adult, a 29-year-old black woman, an unsympathetic victim? And if so, why?
Well, I think
that's another element to it as well.
That plays a great deal into it because you're thinking about 51 years.
Yeah.
Think about the almost anybody convicted of murder across the board. People get I watched a documentary about the football player Will Smith, played for New Orleans, and he was shot 7 times. The guy who shot him got 25 years. In Dallas, the police officer that shot up a car full of teenagers and killed one of them, he got 15 years. Where does 51 years come into play?
Right.
Like I think that's one of the things that blows me away, and I think part of this is about people we do not find sympathetic because and this just happened to be something that popped up on my phone today. When we were talking about, there's a former Baylor fraternity president who choked a young woman until she became unconscious and then sexually assaulted her. And he's not going to serve any time in jail, and he doesn't even have to register as a sex offender. It's partially because I think in the same thing in the Brock Turner, we don't want to ruin this young man's life. Just because it's always in certain people's minds when there are certain people who commit crimes as devious and as violent and as heinous as they are, they're considered mistakes. Mm-hmm. Okay,
they're divided into classes as well too.
And mind you, this person, the young man in Baylor, young man, I'm being very generous to even call him that. Sexual assault, and sexual deviant, if you will. I'll go ahead and give him that. He's an adult. Flat out, he's in college. If you're above 18, what you do is considered adult behavior, and you should be charged as such. But here it is, someone who is a child, and if you are in any kind of sex work as a child, where does that even come into play? We needed to get help for this young woman. That's where it comes into play with me.
That's the positive, and that's the positive of this, I guess, being brought back up, and with more focus, in my opinion, on child sex slaves and child sex rings and just things along those lines. I think to Jay Moore's point, when she was originally convicted, she was just seen as the prostitute.
Right.
I don't think she was just seen as another poor. I mean, I wasn't there, but I mean that's my best guess. Whereas, with some of these other folks, they're viewed with a different lens, and the outcome is completely different. So maybe I think it's a good thing. Now, to your point, Sean, especially when I heard you say falsifying things in the memes,
right?
I think there are contingents of people in this country, and that's been proven. I think through the shit, and even outside of this country, through the election with Trump and all that stuff, that like to get people fired up.
Right.
Yeah.
And honestly,
it doesn't. You even have to say do the right thing.
Yeah.
You can make shit up and get people fired up.
You know, and honestly, like child sex worker, that's enough to where you should be. There's something in you that should be bothered.
Yeah.
So,
well, if you're not familiar with this case, I would say go ahead and check out more information on this and become educated, have a conversation with somebody.
yeah.
We're about halfway through. I'm going to go ahead and shout out our sponsors real quick. Shouts to No Bet Ideas with their brand new knits. We got one on the table right now.
Since Mike's not here, I think I might have to take the hat. I usually try to take.
Also, shout to Coleman Dental. I'm not going to read the phone number, but you can look them up. You can also see them
Coleman
flash.
with the K.
Coleman with the K. You can see them flashing on our screen every once in a while.
Get your teeth right.
Get your teeth right, you know. Also, Indie City and Vinyl. Shouts to Annie and Andy for hooking us up with the cool exclusive vinyl every week for our patrons. And also, of course, Printfinity. You know.
Get yourself something custom.
You know,
I got a custom Printfinity.
you know,
He does.
Printfinity, no vowels. And, of course, Breaking Down the Band's the hub. So check that out as well. What else we got here? All right, so moving on.
We in music.
Let's talk about somebody else can say it. I don't want to do it.
We're going to the music
Thank you.
point of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Shout out to Memphis.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Memphis and
East, west, south, north,
adjacent
adjacent,
Orange Mound.
County
Orange
seat.
Mound,
county seat,
All in unincorporated areas.
barbecue
indeed,
sauce.
and Philly because Mike's scared of Philly now
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
of
he is.
the thing that Sean did.
I didn't do anything.
Did you not do anything?
Nothing?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Okay. All right. That's fine.
You'll have to go through the archives to find out.
Have to get out there and smooth some things out, man.
Definitely.
So we have a couple little topics here. I think one may transition into the other. Let's bring up the Grammy nods first, and then we'll talk about some of these other ideas.
Right.
Good for Kendrick. Yay, Kendrick.
So who all's? So let's see. Mac Miller got nominated. Travis Scott's album. So Mac Miller Swimming got nominated. Travis Scott's, what was it called again? Astro Kid.
World.
Astro Kid. I think that's a
Should have
video
been called
game.
Astro Kid. Yeah.
That's like a cartoon.
That's cool.
Ain't it?
It's like
I don't know much about Travis Scott.
My
I just
bad.
I like the term Astro Kid.
Cardi
That's neat.
B's album. I forget what it's called.
Me too.
Everything actually is not nominated in the hip hop or rap category either. Which is
I'm
interesting.
reaching. Right.
Yeah, they nominated Post Malone for like album of the year.
Let me see if I can pull
Dude,
this
people fucking love Post Malone.
I don't-
Dude.
up.
It's crazy because
They
his last two
love
albums,
him.
his last two albums are always in the top 10 now.
serious, bro. All right.
No, they either like him or they can't stand him.
Yep.
It's
I'm
pretty
indifferent.
much what
I
it
just-
is. So, anyways, let's. What was the other one? Jay-Z? No, not Jay-Z. Was it Jay-Z?
Nah, I know the
I know.
I got the list
Black
here.
Panther soundtrack
Panther
is on
soundtrack.
there. A lot of
I got it
a
pulled
few
up.
songs from there on there.
Kendrick is nominated, isn't he? Is he not?
Yeah, through the Black Panther soundtrack.
Gotcha.
I should have been more.
KOD did not make the nod, so
J.
J.
Cole.
Cole fans are
Really?
livid.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yes.
I was looking for the hip hop category though. Where's that at?
So
Hip-hop
Cardi
category-
B made it and
Hold on,
J.
they
Cole
put-
didn't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Well, and that kind of goes into what we were talking about.
Okay, here it
or
is.
going to stream into.
I actually found
No,
it. Okay.
no pun
best,
intended. Streams.
best rap performances. Be Careful, Cardi B.
Okay.
Drake, Nice for What. King's Dead, Kendrick Lamar, J-Rock, Future, and James Blake. Bubbling, Anderson .Paak. Sicko Mode, Travis Scott. Okay, let's go to the albums.
The albums is more one I'm more
Albums.
interested
This
in.
is the weirdest list.
Is that
Best
the rap album?
Best rap
Yeah.
albums. Invasion of Privacy.
by
Cardi B. That's
Okay.
one.
Yeah, I didn't know what her album was.
Swimming, Mac Miller. Okay. Victory Lap,
Nipsey.
Hustle,
Alright.
Daytona, Pusha T,
Pusha.
Astro World, Travis Scott. This,
okay. Yeah.
that's terrible.
It's just weird. What's so weird about it is, so you have all of those. You have those people or artists that are in the rap category that aren't mentioned in any other category.
Right.
But then you have Drake that's in every other category,
Yeah.
but the rap category.
I don't think they know what they're doing anymore.
I don't think they
But-
know what they're doing anymore
but I'm-
either. I think they're afraid to.
but
Yeah,
Scorp,
Because
Scorp-
anytime they do anything or
They-
put
they
somebody
mess
in
it
a
up.
category, they're like, "What the
Like,
fuck is wrong with you?"
Drake is not up for rap album of the year, but he's up for album of the
Right.
year.
What type of shit is that?
That almost never happens for you to not be nominated in your category, but be nominated for album of the year.
I'll say this: looking at the best rap album, the only one on here that I say that potentially I would probably swap out for something else would probably be Daytona. I would probably swap Daytona
Daytona.
out for
Daytona is
something.
actually pretty dope,
And
in my opinion.
I'm not saying it's okay.
It's not
right?
the best one on that list.
But I would put J-Rock's over his.
Yeah. Well, I
this is gonna
definitely
be
like
crazy.
J-Rock some of
This
that.
guy would never.
J. Cole's as well.
This would never be on that list, but I think Book of Ryan should be on that list.
Book of Ryan, definitely.
And that's a
So
great album.
that's what happens when you don't have a Source Awards anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, those albums have no chance again.
Yeah.
Book of Ryan has some of the best songs I heard this year.
It is.
But just the album of the year, come on, Invasion of Privacy album of the year. I thought it was a stretch to get rap album of the year. But
I understand why. And it's based off, and this is going
Popularity.
to, this goes
but
into
is
what we're
not-
going to talk about
you wanna
later
do
as far as
popularity, watch the
streams.
American Music Awards, not
Yeah.
the Grammys.
Right.
That's true, but unfortunately, we live in a time and day and age where everybody wants it to be a certain way. So with the streams and those being put into play, it changes pretty much the whole face of everything as far as those awards are concerned.
But then it's just all over the place. Like Beer Bongs and Bentleys by Post Malone is nominated for album of the year.
But again, everybody loves Post Malone. So
Dirty Computer by Janelle Monáe. Like, I didn't see that one coming because I didn't think
I would have
people
liked to see November by Sir on there. That would have been
I
good.
would have too. That's my favorite.
But her
Talking to the mic a little bit,
is nominated. It's her who has, so I didn't see that one coming either. But I don't know. It's just all over the place. I think it's because the Grammys get it so wrong. They're just like, all right, we're just going to throw a whole bunch of stuff out there.
Sometimes
and
you
see
just
what
got to throw
sticks.
the whole award show away.
Did X get nominated for anything?
He did not.
It doesn't look like it as I'm scrolling. I mean, there's so many categories for so many things. It's just the Carters got nominated for Best Urban Contemporary Album.
Yeah.
What the
Whatever
fuck
that
does urban
means.
contemporary
You know,
mean?
Dave and the Drumheads did too, though, and that's actually a really dope project.
What else
Michelle-
is
Beck is on there. Beck makes it every year. I don't know how.
Michelle-
Because
Nick-
Beck is a dope musician.
The reason why I'm saying that, no, the reason why I'm
That's
saying
why
that
he
is
makes
because you never know that Beck even made an album until they start
The
telling
people
you
that
the
follow
Grammy
Beck
shit.
do.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
There's a lot we don't.
Yeah.
We might not. Although I catch when I knew Beck put something out.
Let me
you know
ask
what I mean?
you-
Or when he does, I
I
hear
got-
about it. I might not listen to all of it, but the dude's incredible.
Legitimate question. Out of these 5 people, these groups that got nominated for Best Alternative Music Album, how many do we know? Arctic Monkeys.
I've heard of them.
Okay, I haven't.
Nope.
Beck,
Okay, there
Okay.
it is.
There's Beck.
Bjork,
Okay.
But, yeah.
David Byrne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
David Burns from the Talking Heads.
Okay,
Mhm.
right.
Incredible.
And St. Vincent.
Don't know that.
I don't know them.
no.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, but the point that I'm making here is we're not as versed in the stuff, as Beck music. I mean,
Well, I mean, it is.
I have
it's
some
a,
Beck albums. He's a great guitarist.
Yeah, he's a great.
So,
just musician in general.
but I don't know his music, like that. Shouts to the Wood Brothers,
So what category would a Drake album go into since it's not nominated as the rap album of the year, but it's nominated as album of the year?
They just need to create a category for pop music, pop album, like pop whatever. I don't know. Just
They
bullshit
do.
ass bullshit.
How bad is it? How bad do they just want to be like? Can we just do best white person album?
Yeah, that's
like.
honestly.
Why can't we
that
just do
actually
that?
might be
That
accurate.
is honestly what they do for best pop album.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Hey, Eminem's "Lucky You" got nominated. Hey, you mentioned that, didn't you?
That's not even the
but
best song on his album.
His
It's
whole
not.
album didn't get nominated
Well,
though.
it shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Although a lot of his like diehard fans, and I remember when I thought he was spitting on that album. I mean, it was a little meaner than the previous.
Mind you, on the second album of the year, yeah. The first one was
Oh yeah,
hot
that was-
garbage.
mm.
Hold up. There's another category: Producer of the Year, non-classical. Boy Wonder, Larry Klein, Linda Perry, and Kanye West and Pharrell Williams.
Man, if I'm Metro Boomin, I'm pissed off.
I
right
know.
now.
Really?
Seriously.
If I'm Mustard, I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
Mind you,
If I'm
LMA did not
dude,
make that list.
If I'm
I'm taking Kanye West off for any of those guys.
Yeah.
if I'm any of those like 808 Mafia Atlanta dudes, none of them.
You know when
I
you
mean,
say
Not
best,
not Mike Will. None of those dudes made it.
when you say and he's all over Kendrick. Oh, wow.
Everything.
But when you say best pop vocal album and you're like best white person, let's see who's nominated: Camila Cabello, Kelly Clarkson, Ariana Grande, Shawn Mendes, Pink, Taylor Swift. It's like
There you go.
just stuff that doesn't sound like rap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Did
But-
y'all see that?
Best music video is a little different though. It is all all rap hip hop.
Did y'all see that? What's her name? Miley Cyrus is now going back to hip hop.
Yeah,
She wants to work with
yeah,
Mike Will made it's gonna
Yeah,
make her
being
album
white
again.
didn't work out like she thought.
Ain't that some shit?
Let's do this. Let's transition out of the Grammys because the Grammys suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's talk about this a little bit because we talked about this recently. When I say recently, I mean when she decided to quit hip hop because she didn't agree with the imagery and the way that it was portraying people.
All of a sudden.
Because to her, hip hop was all suck my dick
And wear some Jordans and get a grill.
And twerk your chiclets.
And we're
Or chicken cutlets or whatever.
and so far we're just talking about her videos. So so how do you guys feel now that she has so she came back? Mark Ronson put out a single with her on it that I saw. That as soon as I saw her driving in the car, I was like, how ironic that she's back now.
I intentionally didn't listen to it because of that. I was like, once you step out, you're going to me. Once you make those statements, I'm not
you're
interested.
dead to Jay Moore, Miley.
Yeah, exactly. Not that she cares, but I was like, I wasn't particularly interested before, but now that she, when she made those statements, I was like, okay, well, now I have no interest in even checking out your music.
Here's the thing: the people that really like her don't care about what we think about
Not
right
at
here
all.
about all this
Yeah.
playing hip hop and
Having-
in our eyes playing herself as far
having
as hip hop was
integrity and shit.
concerned.
It kind of
That
goes
doesn't
back to what we
register
were
with
talking
her
about
fans.
last week as far as fads and things like that, because she or even the how they made it easy to rap or be involved in hip hop, because she see that this last album did not work for her as well as the one when she was on the Wrecking Ball did.
Yeah, so who
So
really
now-
likes Miley Cyrus? when you wanna
Exactly.
Say that.
So now she wants to go back to Mike Will Made It in order to kind of create that sound again, in order to make more money. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You don't give a fuck about what people are listening to. You want to put somebody in your studio that's going to create that vibe that they feel like is popular right now, because you want to cash in on it.
Have you noticed that with none of these comments, Miley was like, my soul really just feels X or Y or Z. It has nothing to do with musically what she.
Nah.
It has to do 100% with what's
Because
going
she's
to
a
make me the most
product.
popular now. Fine, that's her job.
Yeah.
Can't really front on that. You know what I mean?
But why
as
isn't she
as a
trying
hardcore
country?
hip hop cat, like fuck out of here, man.
Why isn't she trying country? Her dad is Billy Ray Cyrus.
Because country's not as cool.
Exactly. Well, actually, it's funny because
Now they sell.
The
You can
two-
still sell a lot of records in country.
the
Right.
two top acts in country right now are two black men,
Oh, I didn't know that.
multiracial black men. One was I don't remember his name, but I mean, he does not look like
Every
the
time-
quintessential.
Let me propose this
Country
question.
singer.
Well, let me take it a little deeper. What do you think about? All right, so she's got a song with Mark Ronson, which he's an extremely talented producer. He was responsible for some stuff with Amy Winehouse.
For
He's
sure.
been around doing
Bruno
stuff.
Mars,
He's been around.
He's had a hell of a run.
Can DJ too.
But
really well.
he's also kind of a hip hop dude in a way.
Oh, he's ahead.
So,
Big time.
and then we have Mike Will Made It. What do you think about the people out here that are working with her now? After she has made her comments,
Goes back to what I said about Hollywood friends.
They want to check.
do you
too.
fuck with them? Do you
They
fuck
want
with
to
them?
check too.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to act like, look, Mike Will killed what he did for Kendrick. So I feel like he should save that energy for people who are in the culture, but I understand there are checks involved.
I feel pretty much exactly the same way.
I say fuck them.
I can't front on Mark Ronson because to be honest with you though, Mark Ronson, while he is a hip hop dude, I don't know Mark Ronson's background super well, except that he's been involved with a lot of pop music.
He is absolutely.
He's
absolutely.
definitely pop.
So
Yeah.
while he might be rooted in hip hop or things like that, so to me it doesn't surprise me at all. Now, Mike Will, get your money, dude. Fuck it.
I guess. I
So
don't
you
know.
can then maybe take a chance on another project
Right.
with somebody.
For those
else
that
in the
don't know,
future and
Mike
afford to
Will-
maybe lose a little. You know what I mean, or something. I
To
don't
me,
know.
then the cycle never ends that way.
Yeah, but for those that don't know Mike Will, he's behind Ray Shrimmer or Ear Drummers backwards, whatever the hell. He's very instrumental.
This
in,
should have been up for music video of the year.
in
Sorry.
Miley Cyrus as far as how her career ascended and pretty much picked up other fans that she did not have. I don't know all the other things that he's putting his foot into now, but for the most part, people know him for Ray Shremmerd and Miley Cyrus.
Right.
For him to dip back into Miley Cyrus is he's chasing a paycheck. I mean, I understand. I can't take anything away from him as far as not wanting to be himself, because he's pretty much giving her that sound that she wants to run with or whatnot.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, it's for the check, it's for the accolades, it's for all of that type shit.
Yeah,
and he could be the one credited with bringing her back to the charts, and it's like, hey, Mike Will made it up for producer of the year.
I can appreciate that. I just don't respect it, I guess. So, and I understand the point of it, but that's just where I stand with it. That's just how I feel. Speaking of crazy stream numbers, let's talk about streaming.
Okay, Spotify.
Yeah, so recently, all the artists that we know, we've seen, most artists have
a lot
that have artist accounts with Spotify have been sharing how many plays they've had, and blah, blah, especially the independent artists.
Mm-hmm.
Post Malone had 1 billion.
People love him, and he's very similar to Miley Cyrus.
1 billion
in different ways.
Post Malone. Okay, I'm done.
We needed a sound effect for that.
1 billion
Jiminy God.
times 2.
He could have got hit with that. He's got AIDS.
Well, he might still could. Yeah. So
and I'm totally not. I don't.
Yeah.
Not for me, man.
So let's talk about this then. Terry, do you want to kind of lead this, since this was kind of your idea? You mentioned the fact streaming numbers, Spotify is having talent enough in today's age, or is it? Or is more required?
All right, so I think the question was, is talent? Do we really care about talent today in today's day and age? As far as what did it say? I'm sorry.
Like at all?
You
like,
mean in hip hop or in?
No, just in general. What did I say? I'm sorry.
Is having talent enough in today's climate?
Okay,
I mean,
right.
We've kind of talked about this many times. But
We have, and the reason why I brought it up is kind of based on people's streaming numbers and Spotify and things like that, because I think it all ties into each other. A lot of people's grind and what they're doing is way higher than their talent level, as far as getting in front of people or people actually following them for their music, subject matter, or whatnot. So where is the common ground between those two, as far as where you marry your talent and your hustle or your backing and things like that? Because I think right now you need both. You need more of the money factor right now, because you need to be able to be seen in front of these millions and millions of artists that are all trying to pretty much pull their way to the top. And I just kind of want to see how everybody felt about that.
Well, it depends on what your goal is. I'll be short because you guys, I think I really want to hear what you guys have to say about this, but I'll be relatively short. I think it depends on what your goal is as a person or as an artist, right? If being the best at your craft is what's most important to you, the most talented or the most skilled at your craft, then I think that will come out. But the point we've made a lot of times on this show is we all know in today's day and age, that's just unfortunately not enough, especially if you want to be involved with music. I don't know enough about other industry, you know what I mean, to say that. I know in my profession, you can't act like you're a good business analyst. Mm-hmm. You have to actually be a good business analyst to make money. So,
so where do people draw the line as far as their talent, you think? Do you think that people try harder to be talented, or do people try harder to be known in this social media age?
I think the latter. I think I think it depends where they're rooted at. You know, I don't think necessarily everybody now, like, this is an argument that could be made, but everybody that proclaims, and Mike and I agree on this because we talked about it many times. But
which Mike?
Mike Chamberlain.
Okay.
So that's the Maja 7th. But everybody that wants to proclaim that they're an artist in today's age isn't necessarily an artist to me. And I think there's a difference between an artist and an entertainer. I think there's a difference in your goals. If you're jumping into this and you're making music, and after a while you're like, oh, maybe I can make some money at this, let's do that as well. As opposed to, I'm going to be an artist to make money, or I'm going to use this trade to make money. I think those are two different things. And I think that's the overlap that we're having right now. We have the overlap of artists, that people that care more about the art, and then people that will say, I'm just here to make the money. And I think that's why we always preface stuff like, hey, get your money. I don't agree with it, but get your money. Like, I'm with that to an extent because I understand it, but it does dumb everything down to me. It does dumb the art and the culture down.
To your point, if all you do is go and get the money, and you're, this is just me talking. The reason why I felt that way about Mike Will specifically in the last time is because Mike Will has done really dope shit and contributed a lot previously. Mm-hmm. If all you do is get the money and you've not, let's take Tekashi for example.
Right.
Okay. And let's go back before Treyway and all that stuff too. He was a part of this scum gang deal where the whole thing was just to be as outrageous as you possibly can be. The videos had all this super graphic and violent and this, you know what I mean, and all that stuff. So none of it was super skilled. The cat that used to rhyme with him was a better rapper, I would say. You know what I mean? But it was to get attention. It was to get people to pay attention, and that graphic imagery and all that stuff. People, especially young people, they're drawn to. They love that shit.
Right.
So it's not about the talent. It's more about
there wasn't
who
any
can
talent
you get
there
to pretty much produce a mind-blowing video for you.
Correct. And what's the most outrageous shit I can show on this TV screen or this computer screen to this person? Most outrageous shit I can say to accompany this graphic imagery. That was the angle initially for him.
It's all about garnering attention. Like, how can I grab people's attention in this small space where everybody has a short attention span? Mm-hmm. And that thing right there is changing all the time. So I think
for sure.
I think the argument is like the same.
Yeah.
It's just that the thing that's being used varies throughout time.
I'll wrap this up just real quick.
Okay.
We do not, participate in attention-seeking behavior. That's why fucking Griselda, that's why I respect them so much and we talk so much about them, because they're them. There's no faking. I'm not going to say something outrageous or ridiculous or act a certain way or do whatever all these other people are doing to get attention. Like, you like us because of what we make. Like, That's respectable to me. Not, I'm going to bend and fold back to Tekashi. Then he was a gangster. Right. He went from being kind of like a skater type, gothy, almost type kid to now I'm a gangbanger. Mm-hmm. It had nothing to do with how good of a rapper he was. It had nothing to do with any of that. It was just what people ate up. Sorry, Jay.
No, it's no problem. I mean, and I think part of what Terry was bringing up is like, hey, do you know you have to have this much money to kind of get all these looks and have a certain level of attention brought to you? That's the thing. Like, it really is about the certain level of attention that you can grab, and that doesn't cost a lot of money. I'll give you a perfect example, and it has to be done right, though, because I think this young lady kind of messed up the rollout of her viral moment. Remember Doja Cat can't put out that video,
yes.
Bitch, I'm a Cow. Mm-hmm. It was basically just her in a cow costume, eating a hamburger in front of like Microsoft clip art.
It was a nice representation.
I'm not hating on it.
She's a pretty young lady.
But at the same time, like, from that moment where she said herself, I'm just kind of trolling, because she already had a record deal and she had songs with Anderson .Paak. I had no idea. I went and checked out what she had done before.
She had like 4 projects or something, right?
Exactly. And she's out touring now, but at the same time, like, the song that had people into her and wanting to find out more about her, Bitch, I'm a Cow, it didn't get put up on any of the streaming services for like another 2 or 3 weeks. There were people who put out remixes of Bitch, I'm a Cow before she put out the official version of Bitch.
Up.
It's just crazy for someone who doesn't know what I'm talking about. And I've just said Bitch, I'm a Cow 5 times in a row. But like, that's part of it.
You're really missing out if you haven't seen this.
If you're going to produce these viral moments, you better be ready to monetize them and capitalize.
Absolutely.
If this is what you're going to do, then you better do it right. If not, it's all for naught. Like, you don't have your viral moment ready, is not registered on BDS. For those of you who don't know what BDS is, when your song gets played on the radio, in mix show, anywhere in the country, it's counted by the service called BDS. Mm-hmm. So
SoundScan,
yeah, and so like the same thing when you sell something, it goes through SoundScan. All these, it used to be a time way back in the day. When I say way back in the day, I say the 80s. Basically, program directors would turn in basically a written list of songs that they played, and we just took their word for it. It's not like that anymore. Everything is on computer and can be itemized and, in that case, monetized.
And to your point too, as far as monetizing these things, you have this case right now with what's the guy's name where they took his dance and put it in the video game?
Oh, the 2 Milli with the Milli Rock.
Right, Milli Rock is in what's the
Fortnite.
game? Fortnite. Okay, so you have that dance where actually people were telling him, where they had this whole, a lot of people saying that you need to get paid for this. He's just now suing for his likeness or dance being used in this game. So if you're going to go that route as far as not necessarily being the most talented person out here, and you want to be the one that's viral and everybody's into what you're doing, you need to make sure that your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted.
And that's even more so to the sound scan and stuff. You go to a distribution service and put your song out there.
Right.
You put your one song on
and
there.
that's just off of a dance. He came up with this dance, and
That's his only song that I know is
Right.
Milli Rock.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But if you put your song out there on a distribution service, it'll make it so that nobody can take your song on YouTube. You get, if somebody, when they watch it, you get paid for it. You know?
Right.
And that's,
But a lot of times people are just putting stuff up and hoping it'll stick, and they're not getting their paperwork together, and so it gets out of their hands.
yeah. So
And-
yeah, she definitely messed up in that situation.
And
How
she's
much
on
money do
a
you
record
think she
label.
lost from
Oh,
doing
look,
that?
I think she missed her song charting, because the thing is, once the moment
that
is
song
over,
shouldn't chart though.
it
It will.
No, it won't. I mean, all those,
Or
because
it would.
when Tekashi would talk about, I got a song that charted, yeah, it came in at number 95,
Yeah.
or it came in at 73.
No
Like,
song named "Bitch I'm a Cow" should chart.
If Post Malone can be up for
Yo,
album
shit.
of the year with an album called Beer Bongs and Bentleys, Bitch I'm a Cow has a shot.
Look,
His
Yeah.
last album
Nobody
is
named-
top 10 too as well.
Yeah, it did.
We're not even mentioning that
Yeah, I
because
mean,
it's
but
not
you-
in the Grammy contention.
Yeah.
So-
I do not disagree with the point. I don't think Post Malone should be charting either. But
Side note, last thing I'll say on this topic too is if you've came out of like just a horrible upbringing and you're just trying to find a way out and you want to record a song called "Bitch I'm a Cow" as opposed to go out and do some grimy shit, do it.
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not hating
absolutely.
or
You gotta
judging
look good
anybody
doing it,
at
though.
all.
At
I'm
least
not.
look
I'm
good
just.
doing
I'm
it.
just as an example. I don't want it to get lost in all this. The fact that like there are economic pressures on people. There
Absolutely.
are other types of pressures on people that, sure, bitch, I'll be a shit, 10 million, cool, I'll sing it all day. I'm not hating on that, man.
Look,
I'm not
no.
judging
If
folks
that's
like that for
actually
any
a
reason at all, man.
if that's an actually representative of what you want to put out as art, if you're like,
That's
all right,
cool.
let me go do "Bitch I'm a Cow" again, like
The beef is bad.
No,
right
I'm
now,
saying
too.
if I'm gonna go do "Bitch I'm a Cow" or I'm gonna go rob somebody, go do "Bitch I'm a Cow."
yeah,
Well,
oh yeah,
Oh, I'm not even mad at the bitch. I don't
know
think
what I
anybody's mad at it. Bitch I'm a cow.
I wouldn't even.
Bitch, I'm a bison.
he ain't mad at the heifer.
"Bitch I'm a bird." That's the next.
I'm not.
one.
Yeah.
I'm just you could just any animal.
I'm gonna take this.
insert any animal.
Art's cool. Let's
We-
put it that way.
we
If you take
could
it seriously,
continue-
people appreciate it.
We could continue this conversation because I kind of wanted to address if it's relevant, if people. Let's save this for next time. But there's a topic that we were talking about of do people need to be popping in their city, popping quote unquote, and to be selling out shows to be successful anymore.
No.
Right. That's something
Yeah,
that I
as
want to
we
talk
can
about in
get into
detail
that
later.
deeply.
But before we go, I definitely want to talk about the king of R&B because you guys wanted to talk about it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
well,
Look,
I don't
that's-
want to talk about it. I'll let y'all talk
Well, you
about
know
it.
what,
But it's
this-
Bobby Brown, real right?
This
I knew you was gonna vote for Bobby Brown.
well,
Definitely.
this is what we're talking about. We're having to monetize your viral moment. So, because say what is as crazy as it was for 𝐀𝐿𝐴, that's the young man's name, to jump out of the window and say he's the king of R&B for this generation.
I'd never heard of him.
Hit him with a
Exactly.
sound bop.
Yeah.
Mike, please.
So for him to. But that's his viral moment. Okay. Now he better have some great records on deck for us to, for him to take his viral moment and take that viral moment and monetize it and get some spins.
Like
on
you
the
have
air.
to do that these days.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna do shit like that, you have to have like steps 3, 4, and 5 planned.
Even if he's just
Even
out here
for
trolling.
R&B.
Even for
Hell
R&B.
Has
yeah.
R&B gotten there yet?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll tell you
So
what.
this
You
is
think
his,
Anthony Hamilton cares about any of that shit?
Well, Anthony
He still puts
Hamilton
new
is
music
more
out.
of a soul He is R&B, but it's more of.
But he's established. Here's
he's
somebody.
established.
That's good. Yes, you're
He's
right.
not. He's not worried about what anybody
Yeah,
thinks.
you're right. Newer artists. Is there a SoundCloud R&B section?
I don't think so.
Okay, just curious.
This is the
There might
moment
be.
in Menace to Society when he
Bitch, I'm a
was
peacock.
pretty much about to get locked up, and he was like, "You know, you done fucked up, right?"
Yeah.
This is that conversation that people
You
are having
bought
with
the
𝐻𝐿𝐴𝐻
bottle.
now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have, regardless of what we think about R. Kelly, R. Kelly's stamp in the R&B world is solidified.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he's a piece of shit. He has good fucking music though.
Great. I'm sorry. His music is incredible.
Hey. Does he? Who
Real
does?
quick, yeah, he
Oh,
does.
Oh, I thought you said
He does.
Jacquees.
Nah, real
I was
quick.
like, I
Hold
don't know
on.
who that
No,
is,
I'm not.
bro.
I'm not out here caping for
You
Jacquees.
have
so don't
you
do that.
have R. Kelly, you have Usher, who has at least 2 classic R&B albums, and he is still out here touring doing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have Tank, which I wouldn't even say he's the best or even classified as king of R&B, but he's doing his thing. You also have
What about Sir?
Sir is new.
Yeah.
He's not someone that's about to hop off the porch and
All
say
right.
he's the
Yeah.
best R&B
What about
artist out here.
Marvin? Oh, is this? Did he? Was it current?
He's saying like of this current.
He's saying of this current
but-
generation.
But I'm like,
He's not better than Trey Songz.
No.
So you have
Is he
you have
fading
one
Neo?
moment in time.
Well,
No, he's not better than Neo.
this is how you create a viral moment, though.
He
Once
definitely
again,
created the viral moment
that's just
So-
because people are checking and streaming his music now, which is I
Even
hate
to
to,
see if they-
I
even
don't
to
like
say
to
if they
use
wanna hate it.
genius loosely, but it's a great marketing tactic.
It's clever. It's not
Yeah,
genius.
exactly. So people are streaming his music, making it go up.
Mm-hmm.
So he's looking better now, but still, he's not better than these cats that are really out here doing this R&B music. To your point,
Miss me with the bullshit.
Bobby Brown is way better than Jacquees.
I mean,
You know,
did
but
see,
even if you just
did you
say
see how he
this
picked up his dope
generation-
bag on stage?
Yeah,
Oh,
smooth as
that's,
fuck.
that's
Yeah.
classic.
Ain't nobody
man.
doing that.
Yeah, nobody's doing that.
He's not Guy.
First of all, I'm the king of R&B. No, I'm just kidding.
He's not Guy. He's not even a Blackstreet level R&B singer.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, even if you just want to compare it to the guys in this generation, we want to take it to the Trey Songz or the guys who are still doing it, like the Ushers. I was like, dude, you got a long way to go.
Yeah,
Right.
So,
Usher
I mean,
has classic shit.
there are people who, you know, may not be into R&B, but they know Ushers. Yeah. They
Can
know Let
Jacquees
It Burn.
dance? Can he
Look,
dance?
have you ever do any of your songs talk the hoe out of a woman? If the answer is no, then you cannot be the king of R&B.
There you go.
So I'm just
That's
saying.
it right there.
I- you
Ice,
know.
Ice JJ Fish might have a little on him.
Yeah,
He might.
So
Hey.
if you listen to any of the, if you listen to the Bobby Browns, the Ushers, go back to Teddy Pendergrass and Marvin
Hey.
Gaye, all of those records were out here talking the hoe out of somebody's auntie. So you just got to
man, man.
understand.
And on
Teddy,
the-
Teddy was the first
That's-
had him throwing their panties on the stage.
Yeah,
Boy,
there are good women, upstanding members
upstanding
of the community.
And this dude had
fine
a good,
ladies.
he had a good 2-month run and wanted to jump
whose
off the
draws
porch
ended up
on the
on the
stage.
stage.
with his whack ass.
So, yeah.
he been in Baby and Lil Wayne's shadow on Cash Money for about 10 years. It seemed like, and now all of a sudden he had a song that's on the radio and he wanted to jump off the porch.
Yeah,
He's
so
gonna sit his young ass down.
So on that note, this is episode 111 of the New Old Heads podcast.
And this is one of the albums of the year, in my opinion.
Miss me with
It's
that
J-Rock.
bullshit. Yep.
yeah.
But yeah, for Jay Moore, DJ Spoolz, Jay Diff, Red August, and myself, Lonegevity, Major 7th, who's in DC. Yeah, we'll see y'all next week. Make sure you check out all our sponsors and sign up on Patreon. Peace.
Indeed, holla at
I'm
us,
the king of R&B.
bitch.